But laid out in front of you, I have the lineup of processes showing some of the processes involved in taking a flat sheet, stenciling it out using just a stencil with holes already drilled into it, and laying that out on a flat sheet, stenciling it out with a scribe, and actually taking the first step over to a stump that is mulberry stump from Richard's backyard.
Is it really?
Nice.
And so we have a dished out area that we just use a grinder to dish out something that has roughly like about a 6-inch radius to it. And it starts off, imagine this is the flat sheet. I've already done this step already, but you would really just work in a radius around this corner on the stump. And it will look plenty ugly when you do that for the first time. You bring that over here to this very loud, aptly named Satan's machine gun on this side. And if you want to plug your ears, now's a good time to do so. And you can take what is a pretty ugly, bent up, deflected surface there and smooth it out completely in preparation for the next step. These are 250 Halcyon rear fenders.
Nice.
And as you look at the steps that it goes through, we take the metal and we work in a radius to it slowly. And I'll demonstrate that here just in a moment because it's one of the most dramatic parts of the process. I won't go all the way, but this, with about 18 passes through this die set here on my right, turns into this from this flat sheet that's curved on each end. That curve allows it to enter these dies and receive the next step, but so quickly it becomes this donut shape, which looks not a whole lot like a fender. So I'll show you that process really quick and how that plays out on the doming dies. These are matched doming dies, just not any special steel or anything. You're just easing the shape in. You're not putting them under a lot of pressure and work. They're just slowly easing the shape into the metal. It's a special deep draw quality steel. It's a 1008 draw quality steel. Let me move this out of the way here. I invite anyone here, everyone here to feel free to come on in close and see what's going on.
Do you use an English
Feel free to
whip?
stand in this area back here or stand behind me. That's just fine.
Old school, we don't use an English wheel. This is our English wheel.
That's right, okay.
It's doing the same thing.
You answered my question right before I asked it, Richard. Good thinker.
So here are my blanks. You can see they're center scribe. They've got holes marked and drilled in them already in their specific locations. Those holes stretch. The whole entire fender stretches around 105% in length and a little less on width. And we've been able to reverse engineer that so the holes go on first and they all stretch out and land in the right spot later, which has been
trial and error.
Yeah, a little bit of trial and error, but it's been nice to have that work done flat and not when it's curved. It's eliminated all those beautiful jigs you see on the second shelf back there that we used to use to try to drill the holes. I'll do about 4 or 5 passes here, and then we'll see how quickly it moves. That helps overcome some of the resistance from the fender as there's more tension that's built into it.
Wow. That's very cool. awesome.
So from there, it's only another 12 passes like that that brings this all the way down into that shape. Throughout that process, I step over here to the planishing hammer and I clean up some of the areas that are under the most tension of the fender, which is at the ends. At the ends, there's no metal out here to contain the end of the fender. And so this metal in the middle all stretches very similarly. The metal at the end here wants to squirt that way more than this way and this way, comparatively. So there's some work I need to do to clean up. You can see actually that it's starting to pucker right in here. And I'll just pop that on the planishing hammer and clean that up in the next step before I finish it off. But within a few steps, we're at this shape. The last thing I do is clean up the edge on the planishing hammer, and I run it through at full bore, just full speed, really just bedding the radius that I want in this metal, because the very specific radius that this has in all directions at the end of the process is what allows me to go to the next, what I'm about to show you, for it to turn out exactly the right size. So I'm going to take this fender end to end, grab it end to end, and just stretch it wide open as much as I can physically. No need to go much further than that before I slap it into this giant Columbia vise here with 1/2-inch plate welded to the jaws. Center it up, and with the reverse-inverse relationship between those curves, I can crank this out to a very specific width, and then in just seconds it turns into something that looks just about exactly like a fender. There.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So,
That's great, man.
when you think about taking a process that is very manual on all these machines and bringing it into a production setting to be able to pump out enough fenders to keep up with production, Joe found a way, and we're thankful for training and the speed it takes and the attention it takes. You don't really get to let up your guard a whole lot, but the good thing I like about working this way with metal is it's so much more forgiving than you might think.
Is there a name for that die?
For
That die?
this right here,
Yeah.
just our vice squeezer.
You didn't give it a name?
Oh, no,
There's
it's
the
our Swisher.
Squish-O-Matic right there.
The Swisher?
It's been named a few things. It's the Squish-O-Matic 5000.
The Swisher. Okay. Okay.
So I've got one here. Actually, go ahead and use this one since I've got it ready to go.
Now, is that for the 450, that fender, or the
That is a
250?
rear 250 fender as we make it.
Okay.
And I'm going to switch out dies really quick. One of the exciting things is folks that were here last year saw this process already. So I'm not going to go a whole lot further down the line into this process. I will explain it. But the next thing to do is really refine this shape, right? You can easily see that not everything looks as it should in terms of the shape. The ends are doing some funny things. So what we really need to do is refine that shape. And so we run it through a set of 3D printed dies that have reinforcement in the center line to retain that shape. But this is very specifically shaped to our fenders to accept and refine the shape without a whole lot of fight in this next step. It's really about just a fine tuning of the fender. So let me pop this out real quick. And while I'm doing so, take a look at the next pieces on the table out there. You've got a fully beaded
Yeah, I see that.
and ducktail fender, which is something we want to tease. Maybe I'll have Richard say something about these ducktail fenders while I change
So
these
I don't know
dies.
if y'all spotted these
Yeah.
guys, but this is not something you maybe seen before. This is a new feature we're going to be offering front and back on both. This is the 250, but Brent has been able to add this to the 450 as well. So this will be an upgrade we will offer. It really looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
And we'll be able to pinstripe that just like on the other on the standard fenders.
We've maximized what you can kind of do with the current mounts of the 250 and the 450. And so these are fenders that you can order and have pinstriped and bolt right onto your bike if you'd like to change the look of your bike and go to a ducktail fender, which we're hoping we can have some of you do and go down this line with us and on this new look to sharpen up. It's a new addition. It's a
You
fun
want to
new
talk about
addition.
the other things, or you want to?
Absolutely, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, Brent has been very busy working on other options. I don't know if you can see what this is. This is aluminum. So we now are able to offer the 250. Is it in the 450 as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
And 450. That's right. I have one on my desk. In aluminum, which I don't know if some of you may remember the 50cc. We did a polished chrome or chrome plated fenders. We did not have the ability to do aluminum. But what this will allow us to do is polished aluminum fenders. Or probably we could also do brushed, kind of a Vincent look. But I am so excited. Something we've been wanting. The plating process just is not something, as you probably all maybe have heard, something we really enjoy participating in. It's just really toxic and a pain in the neck. So being able to polish the aluminum, it'll match the fuel tank that you have, especially the deluxe fuel tank, and it's going to really add to the look of the bikes. We'll also be able to pinstrip these. We're working on experimenting with that. We'll need to etch if we do the polished, but it's exactly the same process we do on the deluxe fuel tank. Here's a rear. In addition to looking cool, it's also extremely lightweight. And this is, what is this, Brent? 090?
3003 series H14.
But what is the thickness? It's thinner than
Sorry, the thickness. This is 063.
Okay,
So 63 thousandths.
So a little bit thinner than your fuel tank.
It's half again as thick as the steel fenders. Just about exactly half again as thick.
And last but not least, this is a first prototype, but Brent this is really incredible work. Brent has been working on a skirted fender. This is a design that Brent and I were looking at rough superiors, rudges. We didn't want to go straight up with the Indian massive skirt, but a small skirt on the fender with the goal potentially of being able to offer it in a two-tone. So you could have this in cream and this in green or whatever color you decide to go with. But in order to do this, there's been Brent's done some incredible work here. He's got a fishtail on there, and then we're going to tie it in. Eventually, I think he's going to have a little recession, a little lip on the two, and they ideally would be either riveted or bolted together so that we could do two different colors, powder coated.
But this gave us a proof of concept that we can nail the lines, do some different things on the nose and the transitions, but prove that we can do it. Yeah.
That's
this
cool.
Is really gonna make
it looks that sharp.
Fit the lines of the Halcyon especially. It's going to look pretty sharp.
Now you can put it on my bike now. Before I get it home. Okay.
So we'll look into what we're working on.
Some of you might know I've been splitting my time between Minnesota and Goshen. Some of you know my life story. I've been living up there in the Twin Cities, and my wife's a farmer up there, and
Dirt farmer?
We're moving down here to Goshen, and it's really nice to see this shop moving into this next phase of R&D and prototyping of different metalworking skills and forms that we can do. It's what kind of gets me excited and drives me.
Yeah, cool.
I do like the meditative process of a lot of what I do, standing in front of this machine, listening to the metal, literally listening to the metal and feeling what it wants as I'm putting it through. You get a lot of good information just from the vibrations of what you're doing.
Zen in the Art of Motorcycling.
There you go, which was
Great book, by the way. You should read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other thing I want to say about these aluminum fenders is, I was kind of bummed that this whole process didn't involve fire. And now it does. I've got my big weed torch down here, and I get to stand out front and, anneal these with a giant torch, and that just, finally there's fire involved in what I'm doing here. All right, so I'm going to refine this shape with one pass. And then I'm going to give myself a little bit of a riser and some height on this machine. And I'm going to start working a ducktail in there, and you guys can gather around and see how that goes. I've not done that in front of a crowd before.
We need to get ready to head up in the next 5
Perfect.
So 10 minutes.
No pressure. Happy to answer any questions here as we wrap up. Alright, so you can see the major difference there is you've got a consistent sidewall now running around the entire piece here, all the way off the back edge. That used to be peaked up at the top. It's all nice and clean now. I'll go ahead and get right into it. Sit this down. If I was tall like Nick, I wouldn't need one. Or much shorter. Alright. I'm just going to start slowly working. Just getting started there, and it really does require me to have patience. I have found the limits of going a little too fast and not having patience. Gotta work that curve higher and higher up into the piece.
Wow, it's cool. Now we'll go ahead and stop there for now. You can see you kind of have to slowly work it up in there, and then you'll start to almost drag waves out Yeah,
as you go.
right.
That's not finished. That needs about another 10, 15, 20.
Very nice,
So just
very nice.
Refining.
Very good.
That's fine. So yeah, if you have any questions, here, I'll share this part here. The last step that you do, in addition to trimming off the chain guard relief on any Fender, is run it through our beading die. And it's fun to watch, but you can see what it looks like and you can picture it with the time we have here. But it's a Delrin upper and 2 fence posts that you ride the Fender along and ease that shape into the Fender. And it just takes 3 passes. You start it and ease that die in and run a real light pass around the whole Fender in this machine, and then tighten it up like we do with every other step, and it comes out just, you know,
Looks good.
Details.
It adds rigidity to the Fender.
tons of strength, finishes that edge. And then doing that on a ducktail is a little bit more tricky because, as you can imagine, you're not just coming around that nose, you're coming around that nose and then up and down and around the nose. So this platform helps out quite a lot. We do all our own shearing here. We've got a shear behind Nick there. We have our Beverly style, our throatless Eastwood shear here. If anyone has a line on a true Beverly B2 shear, I would be very interested in talking about that.
I may, because I have a nephew
Metalworker?
that he was a former tin knocker, but he works for a company out of Canada that make all this equipment.
Yeah. Well,
So write it down for me, Richard,
Okay.
and I will ask him.
Write it down.
Okay, write it down for me.
Big round
And-
of applause for Brent, though.
Yes, very good. And that's a lot. So you gentlemen know that's a lot of strenuous work there, and to keep it intact. So I appreciate that,
Yeah,
dude.
thank you. I will say the more I do it, the less muscle I use. The more I can.
Because
really allow,
you're
if you're really in that sweet spot, you can almost get the Fender to go through the dies with one finger. If you're really centered, if you're not.
You're in
adding
your
any
zen.
kind of anything to it, if you're right on
Yeah.
the money in the balance point. And I also wanted to show off my apron.
Oh yeah,
This is what 1,000 Fenders looks like.
you're silent.
Richard, you need to get him a new apron.
I don't know.
I like how we get aprons like
I
this.
kind of love it. But if anyone has a good line on a leather apron maker, I would also take contact information.
I would think with all the business you do with the Amish that they would take care of you.
We got someone.
You know what I'm saying? By the way, this will be on my YouTube channel, Old School Pouts.
Sounds
So
good.
the whole thing.
All right, folks.
All right, thank you, Brett. Awesome, buddy. You're good. You're great, man.
Back up and go up to HQ.